So today we have another frame to go through and quality check, and it's not a pretty story, I'm afraid. Now, for regular viewers of the channel might remember that we did a Ridley gravel bike. This is their road bike version, and in that video we showed you all the sort of quality issues. We fed that back to Ridley. They gave us a massive discount on correcting it, and we really hoped that when we started shipping our next frames that we would see a massive improvement, but it's not the case. This has just come through. This is their Helium. This is their road bike. This is the one where all the welds should be lovely and everything should look sleek like a race bike should. But we unpacked it and it's still not right. So I'm making this video, one, so that you guys get to follow along with the quality checks that we do, but also because I'm really struggling. Who makes really good quality aluminium bikes at the moment? This is why we started working with Ridley, to try and find bikes which are really good quality aluminium. I do quite like their build philosophy, but the quality issue just isn't there. Remember, this is a £1,200, that's a £1,200 frame set. This should be perfect out of the box for a frame of that price in aluminium. Remember, we can compare this to the Mason. We've got a Mason over there which are trying to promote themselves as the best quality aluminium in the business right now. And yet, to be fair, the external, the paintwork, the welds look very similar, but the finishing is way off. Right, let's show you. Like, I unpacked this and my heart just fell the moment I saw it, because they just haven't listened to anything that we've done. So straight away, top of the headset, so much paint overspray here. This is a really rough surface. There is no way that a bearing is going to sit there square, and there is so much paint build-up on this surface that when we put a top cap on, we would need a significant number of spacers to give enough space so that top cap didn't interfere with the frame. Really disappointing. Underneath, again, we can see the evidence where when they painted it, they normally put like a big metal pole and they'll rest the frame on this metal pole so that they can paint it. And you can see the evidence of where that metal pole has dug into the aluminium and left these big gouges. Also loads of paint overspray, and that bearing surface is a rough, unfinished surface. Not cool. In fact, I've just taken the bearing that they supply with it, and that bearing won't even fit in there. You know, and even if it did, you'd have to really push that in, and just rubbish. Down here at the bottom bracket, again, loads and loads of paint overspray in the threads and on the faces as well. And these faces are important because when we put a bottom bracket tight against there, we want it to fit absolutely square and flush. Any sort of movement is just going to wiggle and move and just cause a creak. And if there's paint in the threads, that means that when you're building it, things are going to get stuck. You might stand the risk of like cross-threading it. It's just, it's so frustrating because it's such a simple job that every bike shop's been doing it for since the BSA bottom bracket was invented, pretty much. Now, down here at the brake mounts, the top of the brake mounts look pretty good. I haven't put the jig on it to double check and make sure they're absolutely perfect, but they look okay. They look like they've been masked off. However, underneath they've been completely painted over, and that's like now a concave surface. Now, these need to be flat on both sides. That's what the specifications say. So this should really be finished on this side as well, because when you're trying to clamp your brake caliper down, it needs to be a completely flat surface so that everything is going to be perpendicular to the axle and the disc rotor. So come on, like, it's just one little bit there to mask off. It can't be that difficult. Then on the inside here, this is actually significantly better than the last Ridley we had, where we had to scrape paint off these surfaces. At least where the axles go, that looks pretty good. Here under the mech hanger, remember on the last Ridley we had, this is a real mess. We couldn't even get the mech hanger to line up properly. We had to scrape loads of paint off before this would fit. This is better. There's still a big build-up of paint in this corner, preventing what I'd call a really good fit. And the fit is relying on tightening the bolts rather than just fitting nicely. The problem with that is that the axle doesn't actually work nicely. So as we tighten this little mech hanger up, we should now be able to take the actual axle and get a really nice fit. So this is the axle they provide. And we slide this through, and yeah, it gets stuck about there, and that now becomes hard to rotate because this is out of alignment. So again, not cool. It's like, I haven't even done that up the whole way. Also on this edge here, they've completely painted over all of this. This should be bare metal because on the axle we've got a serrated edge here. So this serrated edge is going to dig into the paintwork and make a real mess of this. This should be a bare metal face as well, which is disappointing, so disappointing. Inside the seat post, there's so much paint overspray. I doubt very much that it would even get a 27.2 seat post in there. And ironically, it looks like there's two stickers in there with the name Desiree and I think Jono. I don't know if they're quality control people that have put their name to this and said it's past quality control or not, I don't know, but there is so much paint in there that there's no way that's going to take a 27.2 seat post without that being reamed. Very quickly on the fork actually looks pretty good. So one thing we always look for is sort of the thickness of the sidewall and how uniform it is. Now we've seen stuff where this circle is like offset with a really thick sidewall here and thin over here. This looks pretty good. This is all nice and smooth and well finished, and there's no paint around this, so this actually looks quite nice. And the brake mounts look pretty good too, but they have painted on the inside of the threads here, again causing that same problem. This is just going to cause your axle to get clogged up and not provide a very good fit for that axle. So close, but like just could have been a bit better. Loads of you ask, like how do we fix this? Like if you bought this frame yourself and you want to do this as a home build, these are kind of all the tools that you would need to actually fix this, and it's really unlikely that you're going to have any of these because all of these are multiple hundreds of pounds and need constant maintenance to keep them sharp. To fix the headset, we would need a headset reaming tool. This is from Park at the moment. It's set up for a BB reaming, but you would need cutters like this. This would fit on the inside. This is the wrong size, but you get the idea, to ream out those chamfered surfaces. And then we'd need a flat cutter like this, and this would take the paint off the top of these. Down here at the bottom bracket, we've got a very similar sort of thing for facing a bottom bracket with a threaded guide, and that would only take that paint off this side face here to bring us back to a nice flat surface. And then we'd use this tool, which gets an awful lot of use, which is just to chase those threads, basically like a big oversized frame tap. And of course in the black box we've got the disc brake mounting tools, which we can use upside down and get them back to a flat surface, but it's really, really tricky to do when you're working on the underside. Quite often these bolts are actually recessed. This one would actually be workable, but in the past we've just had to go in there with files and do it very, very carefully. Yeah, I would say that if you brought a frame like this, please do these quality checks, and if it comes to you like this, you're probably looking at a good hour and a half's worth of work from a bike shop. They might even charge you extra because of the type of tools that they're using on there. We would sometimes do that, especially if we're cutting carbon, because carbon really does damage our tools very, very quickly. But essentially this is going straight back. This is going back in the box. We're sending this back to Ridley. I'm kind of a bit sick of it now, to be honest. This is we've tried. We really wanted to work with Ridley, but like I say, we can't walk past these standards. This needs to be better. All right, I hope this video was useful. If it was, please give it a thumbs up, get down in the comments, let me know your thoughts. I can imagine the whole load of old school shops going, just get on with it, you know, you daft millennial, just ream it. We've been doing this in bike shops for decades, and yeah, you have, but this is 1,200 quid. It should be better. Right, I'm done.